All right, Shalom. First, I'd like to start by saying all praise to Yahweh, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. This lesson is called The Science of Addictive Foods. And I'm going to play the video because so they can explain it to you.
Well, if you've ever found yourself saying, I just couldn't help myself when you ate too much of the wrong food, you just might be right. A lot of people put a lot of work into making sure we keep on eating. As our health reporter Kelly Crow discovered, it's a highly competitive, highly secretive industry with one goal: food that is simply irresistible.
They're trying to increase their share of your stomach and increase the amount of profit they're making off the food you eat.
I went to the point that it hurt to move, and I would just lie in my bed and wish I was dead.
These companies rely on deep science and pure science to understand how we're attracted to food and how they can make their foods attractive to us.
There's science behind that crunch. Yogurt feels that way in your mouth for a reason. The food industry is even researching the connection between the taste receptors on your tongue and the corresponding chemical reaction in your brain. The result, carefully engineered combinations of salt, sugar, fat, and chemicals deliberately designed so you can't eat just one. Michael Moss spent 4 years investigating the science behind processed food.
I was totally surprised. I spent time with the top scientists at the largest companies in this country, and it's amazing how much math and science and regression analysis and energy they put into finding the very perfect amount of salt, sugar, and fat in their products that'll send us over the moon.
A search through a database of scientific papers and food industry patents reveals the extent of the science behind food engineering. Chemistry, physics, biology, all commandeered into the service of making profitable food. Here's a process for enhancing the cheese flavor without the cheese, where starting materials are proteins and fats, which means the amount of expensive cheese can be reduced substantially.
And if they can replicate that chemical reaction that may happen on your tongue or an aroma, they can simulate the taste of something without it being at all real.
Bruce Bradley knows firsthand what goes on inside the food industry. A former executive at several large food companies, he's now a writer and industry critic.
There were certainly times that I felt uncomfortable or troubled by what I was doing, and I think that's ultimately, one of the reasons why I left the industry. And then you see trends like obesity and health issues that are increasing, mainly driven by the food that we eat. It was hard for me not to just take a more thorough assessment of what I was doing.
The food industry is extremely secretive, competitive, and proprietary. It took years and hundreds of interviews before Michael Moss could finish his book.
This was like a detective story for me, getting inside the companies with thousands of pages of inside documents and getting their scientists and executives to reveal to me the secrets of how they go at this.
What did he find? That the food processing industry rests on 3 pillars: salt, sugar, and fat.
Well, these are the holy trinity of processed foods. And again, when they hit the perfect amounts, they call it the bliss point for sugar, the mouthfeel for fat, the flavor burst for salt. They know that their products will be irresistible.
Salt, sugar, and fat in combinations nature never intended. And increasingly, scientists agree there is evidence that these highly palatable foods can be addictive.
Yeah, well, for me, I'll be spooning or reaching or whatever, and I'll be thinking, I've got to stop, and I just don't stop.
Her name is Pat, and she's a food addict.
I was desperate when I was a food addict. It was really, really devastating, and I felt powerless and ashamed, and it was horrible.
Her kitchen is a battleground. Every meal a challenge to remember that for her, even a taste of sugar can set her back.
Seeing food will trigger it. Advertising for food will trigger it. These foods are so addictive, so appealing.
Every cookie is crammed with joy.
There are many food addicts who say that even long after the food stopped causing us joy, long after it started causing us misery, we still couldn't stop.
How about one of those chips?
Just one.
So it becomes hardwired, and it's very hard to overcome.
Bet you can't eat just one.
And while the industry hates the word addiction more than any other word, the fact of the matter is that their research has shown them that when they hit the very perfect amounts of each of those ingredients, they'll send us over the moon. Their products will fly off the shelf, we'll eat more, we'll buy more, and as they are companies, they will make more money.
We're activating those limbic structures.
Francis McGlone is a neuroscientist.
Brain system.
As part of a BBC program, he put a British chef into a brain imaging machine and fed him chili.
Every 38 seconds, Ashley had a drop of chili oil squirted on his tongue.
And watched as the heat from the chili peppers triggered a release of feel-good chemicals in the brain.
The consequence of that low level of pain is that it floods the brain with its own natural opiates.
Francis McGlone was a pioneer, one of the first neuroscientists to work in the food industry. He spent 10 years doing neuroscience for Unilever, one of the world's largest food companies.
As a basic neuroscientist, I was able to look at the mechanisms that basically drove preference for various types of food.
Using neuroscience, Unilever made headlines with this finding: ice cream tickles the brain. Just one spoonful lights up the happy zones of the brain in clinical trials, the company reported. This is the other part of the body that fascinates food scientists: the mouth, the way food breaks between the teeth, the pressure of the bite force, the sound of the crunch.
It's the noise, and the noise, of course, amplified by the fact that your jawbone is connected to your ears, and you really hear that crunch quite loudly as you bite. But there's also the physical requirement to chew on something and to crunch it. Just distracts you. It pulls your mind onto what you're eating.
Chris Luckhurst is a food industry consultant who helps companies come up with foods that are what he calls more-ish. In other words, make you want more.
They want you, at the end of each product, to reach for the next one and put it in again. And they often achieve that by having a very intense taste hit right at the front of the mouth, and then it dies off very quickly. And so by the time you've finished each mouthful, you're looking to refine that taste which you've lost.
The shape of the food is also important. Chocolate should not have sharp edges.
Absolutely. We're looking for chocolate to be comforting, to be a really pleasant, lovely experience in the mouth. Melt is a very soft experience. And if it's got sharp corners, you're really spoiling that and actually setting the consumer on edge slightly before they get the melt.
Food scientists know what it takes to trigger the brain to stop eating. They call it sensory-specific satiety.
And that's an expression that says when foods have one overriding flavor, if it's attractive, it'll be really attractive to us initially, but then we'll get tired of it really fast. And so these companies make a concerted effort to make their foods not bland, but really well blended.
And why can't you stop at just one? It's called vanishing caloric density.
Vanishing caloric density applies to those things like Cheetos that melt in your mouth. And what happens is then that your brain gets fooled into thinking the calories have vanished. And you're much more apt to keep eating before the brain sends you a signal, hey, you've had enough.
Welcome to the Sensory Sciences Lab at the University of Guelph.
Can one person from each come here for a minute? this is teaching the students how to set up a sensory test. So all the students in this class are learning the basics of conducting sensory evaluation research, because it's not as simple as eating a food. They're different in ingredients, and what we're looking for is to determine which one is preferred or accepted by people. So in this case, it's actually a different sodium levels.
So which one did you like better?
I like the second one better.
The salty one?
The saltier one, yeah.
Because these products must be able to sit on the shelves for months, many of the ingredients have nothing to do with taste, but act as preservatives and chemicals to control the appearance and texture, and a series of ingredients known as flavor enhancers to trick the brain into tasting something that isn't there.
There's tremendous amounts of money spent behind creating tastes and smells that feel real, but in reality are completely artificial.
Because without flavor enhancement, no one would eat it.
It would taste horrible. You would just, you'd want to spit it out.
One food company made a special batch of crackers for Michael Moss to taste without any salt at all.
It was a god-awful experience tasting those things. Normally, I can eat Cheez-Its all day long, but the Cheez-Its without the salt, I couldn't even swallow them. They stuck to the roof of my mouth.
A tour of the grocery aisle reveals that something is changing. Suddenly, cookies boast health claims. Chips have whole grain and fiber.
If the food industry can find a way to market it and make money off of it, I'm sure they will. But if it long-term is decreasing the amount of food that they can sell, I don't see it as being an avenue that they'll go down.
So whether lower in salt, sugar, or fat, higher in fiber and grains, containing real fruit or baked with real vegetables, you will be back for more. The food industry depends on it. Kelly Crow, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, so now as you can see, Esau makes the food to where it's addictive to you, or you get addicted on it and it kills you slowly. And a lot of the food isn't real to begin with. So, that's why the Lord called him the devil, and that's why he started to be taken up out of the way, man. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 24. For unto you I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan, as they speak, I will put upon you none other burden. Right, and that's part of the depths of Satan. Knowing that the food that we eat isn't real. It's packed with chemicals, and that it kills you eventually. If it don't kill you right away, it's gonna kill you slowly. And that's why the scriptures call us, right. The scripture said the world was given to the hand of the wicked, and Esau is showing himself that he is the wicked. That's why you can't trust this man. And that's speaking on the elites that's running this country, man. The people that's passing the laws to get companies like Monsanto more money, and promoting all these chemical farms and stuff of that nature, It's Micah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Right? So the elites are the ones who got the think tanks and set these companies up to produce this food, and hired the scientists to make do the testing on the people on what your brain is more attracted to, and so on and so forth, man. And for them to doing that, they're gonna be destroyed, man. Eventually Esau, the Edomites, after they do their 1,000 years of slavery, are going to be destroyed, man. This is Sirach chapter 30, verse 14. Better is the poor being sound and strong of constitution than a rich man that is afflicted in his body. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. Right, man. So, it's better to have your health, than have all this money and stuff. That's why, it's important, especially during the times that we're living in, to eat healthy, man. That's why we're the ones eating up, got a specific diet we're supposed to have according to the what's in the law, Let me read it again. Verse 15, health and good estate of the body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. Right, man? So it's good to have a healthy body, even though the Lord did say we was going to eat our food defiled amongst the Gentiles, because Esau messing up the food, but still, when you can eat healthy, especially with the coming days, you never know, you might not eat it all, but at least you want to be strong, man. And pray. You got to pray over all the food that you eat, Verse 16, there is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart, which is the mind. Death is better than a bitter life or continuous sickness. Right, and we know how it feels to be sick. And we be ready to get over that sickness as soon as possible, So it's better to be healthy than to be sick all the time, because that's going to bring stress, depression. You ain't going to be able to think straight, do the things you want to do, stuff of that nature, man. This Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Right. So what's going to save you is you understanding, these scriptures and these precepts, and why we were given the laws to eat healthy, and the Lord saying herbs is good for us, and knowing this is what's going to get you through when that time come, man. Let's say something. Oh yeah, yeah, and it when you eating the vegetables and the fruits and the herbs and everything, it takes time. You can't just eat it for like once or twice a week and then stop, or once or twice in 1 week and then stop, and then the week after the next week eat. You got to eat this stuff continually. It's got to be a daily thing. You have to work this in your life. It has to be a way of life, because your body is naturally, the Lord is about balance. Your body is naturally has acidic and alkaline levels, and you do better if you like, because a lot of brothers like to eat this stuff. You do better if you try to balance everything out. It'll be better if you be more so of an alkaline diet to stay healthy, But yeah, your body's acidic and alkaline, and when you in the alkaline, you're healthy, But when you're in the acidic, that's when you got the diseases and all the infections and infirmities and stuff. So if you going through this stuff, and the Lord did say you got brothers that's gonna be sick now to death, and through this thing. But if you always putting stuff in your body that's making you sick, and you want to cry and complain, and you got to do better with yourself. You can't be around this place, can't be around crying and stuff, and you messing up your own body and your own health. You gotta change. You gotta want it. You gotta pray for it, man. So, and remember, this is a lifelong thing. This ain't no just one day, 1 week, 1 month. This is your everyday life. It has to be your everyday life. Because herbs is gonna take a lot longer to heal you. So I don't want to drag it out too much longer. Call out your much shy. Give honor to the herbs and the process. And salutation to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.